This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends, we break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
What is up inside the locker room? We are back with another episode, and this is episode 16. We are short two hosts today, but your co-hosts Deuce and Benji are here today, and we got a lot to talk about in the sports world. And just starting it off with the NFL, the New York Jets. You know, they signed a lot of players this offseason. They brought in new people. And let me just say this: who would you say has the most to prove coming into this season? You know, the Jets had a kind of, I'm not going to say they didn't meet their expectations last year, you know, so it's a new year, new expectations. So what is just your thoughts on that?
Well, certainly for most, it's definitely gonna be an interesting season this year with a new regime, new head coach, new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator. This is a whole new team, basically, especially when it comes to the staff that Aaron Glenn has constructed up until this point. But for me, coming into this 2025 to 2026 NFL season, I believe that Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields have the most to prove. And I know that since I mentioned that it's going to be everybody's first time, sort of doing things, Jets fans need to, take into account that it is indeed everybody's first time. So I can just go over a quick few things to start us off. Aaron Glenn, he was known as the former defensive coordinator, of course, for the Detroit Lions last year. He was paired up with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is currently in Chicago. He grabbed that head coaching job. But for the former player and Aaron Glenn, he was a former cornerback from 94 to 01. He had a couple records for the team. He caught some interceptions, led the team in interceptions at one point, as a matter of fact. And the reason why I say first Aaron Glenn is because of everything he's been putting together this offseason and what we've been talking about for so long. The intensive draft procedures and the players that we actually picked from the draft. Everything that he has constructed up until this point will be put to the test when the season starts for the New York Jets this upcoming season. And real quickly, I'll talk a little bit about Justin Fields, my guy, my quarterback. He's finally reuniting with Garrett Wilson. Obviously, Garrett Wilson he has 3 1,000-yard seasons to start off his career. And now why I say Justin Fields has the most to prove, it's not really a question of his ability. He's a great running quarterback, can throw the ball deep, hit his receivers, hit his tight ends. But also his mobile ability will be something to look forward to this year for the Jets. And I will mention Breece Hall again, but I think for Breece, it's more of a staying healthy kind of a prove it year for him. But Deuce, what do you think about this? What do you think about my New York Jets here? Who do you think has the most to prove? And I guess you can come back to me with any other thoughts I may have.
I mean, you were pretty spot on when you said like Aaron Glenn, you know, they got a lot to prove. And it's normally, I know, like first year head coaches normally make it or break it. You know, if you don't have a good season after a first year head coach, sometimes you come back, sometimes you don't. But with that also being said, I agree with you when you said Justin Fields, you know, this is his time. For the first time, he's actually like just the starter. You know, he's not behind anyone. You know, in Pittsburgh, they got him, and a lot of people thought, oh, he's gonna be the starter, but then they got Russell Wilson, and then it was that whole shenanigans. And in Chicago, he really didn't. He started, but he never got. I would say he never had the right weapons around him. This time in New York, he's finally starting. He has the right weapons around him. He has the right offensive mind around him to help him, you know, move the ball, control the offense. So I think that's good for the Jets. I really do think Justin Fields has what it takes. Just watching him with the Steelers last year, he looked amazing. And last year, I thought he would have stayed the starter after how he was playing, but the Steelers had other plans. But with the Jets, I believe him and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall too, those are nice weapons that you have, and that's only gonna make him better. So, with that being said, I wish
Yeah.
all the best luck for Justin Fields. I know he has what it takes. So it'll just be interesting to see how the season plays out.
Not for sure. And just to, I guess, to round things up here about Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields is I feel like for Aaron Glenn, he's finally, embracing the role that he's been wanting for so long. And I feel like also with the head coaching search that the Jets had, he was the one that actually wanted this job, and he gets to continue his legacy as a not only as a player but now as a coach. And then now for Justin Fields, he has this great and unique opportunity. To embrace the city of New York and New Jersey and its fans. And I can't wait to see honestly what they do this year. And I will be at training camp as well for the New York Jets, the 25th of July and the 31st of July. So I'll be seeing them all soon, putting in that work. So can't wait to see what's in store.
Yes. So jumping into like closing out this NFL segment, training camp is about to start. We're less than a few weeks away. And not necessarily your top five defenses, because that could be very debatable. But who would you
Mhm.
just say like are your top defenses going into the NFL season? And I could actually I'm gonna give like my opinion first. I think the two teams that come into the league again as a top defense are the Broncos and the Eagles.
For
Uh
sure.
the Broncos, they only upgraded in the draft and free agency, same as the Eagles. Also, the Ravens, best draft by far, in my opinion. Getting those, they got steals. So I think those are the top three teams coming into, top three defenses coming into the next season. But I also would like to mention the Bills are pretty. Bills and the Texans could be up there too. Um, it just depends on how the defense plays out. But as of right now, my top three defenses going to the league, or not the league, but going into next season would just have to be the Broncos, the Eagles, and the Ravens. And there was once a time when my Cowboys were the best defense in the league under Dan Quinn, but that goes to the Philadelphia Eagles now. Congratulations, I guess. But Benji, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's no doubt that the Eagles are just going to be another force to reckon with this year in the NFL for NFL offenses. Their defensive line is just straight up overpowered with the guys they have over there. So I'll put the Eagles at number one. I had the Broncos at number two as well. They get a huge steal. Jade Barron, in my opinion, in the draft, he fell way too much. They can sort of plug him in anywhere. He can kind of play that safety role, that corner role, nickel back, you name it. And then the Ravens, like you mentioned, they added Starks, I believe, and killed their draft. So I actually don't have any disagreements with you in my list. I had the Texans and the Bills as well, but it'll be interesting to see as well what kind of other defenses kind of come to form this year, because sometimes we see teams like, say, not the Chargers. I don't know why I said the Chargers, but sometimes we have teams like the Vikings or other teams that have just come out of nowhere and sort of just their defense being better. So we'll see if any other teams shake out in that top five list and if it changes. But yeah, I do like the Texans as well. They have Derek Stingley Jr. on the field with Will Anderson. They have a deep linebacker core. So I can't agree more with you there.
And I kind of agree with what you said when you said, these defenses pop up out of nowhere. And I'm gonna say
Yeah.
this to all my Cowboys fans. I hopefully, under our new coaching staff, our defense can, wake back up. We didn't have the expectations we had last year. We didn't meet them, but hopefully under our new defensive coordinator, Micah Parsons, who was always his presence is always can be felt even more. Our cornerbacks, their cornerbacks return back to form. Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs. What's our name? What's our new cornerback that we just got? Elam. I forgot it. I think that's his last name. He didn't pan out well with Buffalo, but hopefully under this new system, he can pan out well in Dallas. I think Dallas has the pieces on the defense, to make the push to be, at least a top 10 defense. But I think it all goes back to the coaching staff. So that's just going to be the biggest thing to look into this next season. But jumping into our NBA segment, we've had a few contract extensions recently. J-Dub, Chet, Devin Booker. But we're gonna start off with Devin Booker. Devin Booker just received a $145 million extension, which was a historic record, a historic contract extension. And I'm just gonna get my thoughts to this. That's well deserved. You see, a lot of players leave. There, a lot of players. I'm gonna say this: they're not loyal to their team. You know, Devin Booker, since he's been drafted, he's been loyal to the Suns organization through the ups and the downs. There's been years where they were the worst team in the league. He still stayed, and even when they got KD, and KD probably took more of the spotlight, he still stayed, you know. So that shows a lot about someone's character. And Devin Booker only, you know, he deserves it. And now that this extension just shows like he's gonna probably finish his career, in my opinion, in Phoenix, you know, and this solidifies him like, hey, you're our number one guy again. Take this extension, you're our number one guy. You got your role, you got your supporting cast around you. And it'll just be interesting to see how the Suns perform. They did well in the draft. Only time will tell.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that Devin Booker has been in the NBA for 10 years almost already. Like, I remember when this dude just got drafted, like it was yesterday. And I feel like it's a lot of players like that nowadays where we look at and it's just like, dang, where did the time go? But yeah, the Suns, they keep their star veteran through 2030. That contract keeps him till. And people forget also that the Suns were in the NBA Finals just a couple years ago, facing off against Giannis Antetokounmpo, who we will talk about shortly. But yeah, I like the move for the Suns. It's a no-brainer for me. They're basically their entire franchise right now. So lock that down and build around D Book, one of the best shooting guards in the league, in my opinion. So
yeah, and jumping into the Thunder, you know, they just re-signed or extended J-Dub and Chet. J-Dub getting 5 years, 287 mil, the rookie max, and Chet getting 5 years, 250 mil. So those are two pretty big extensions. And I'm gonna say this for J-Dub, I like the extension. You know, average 20, 23-ish in the finals, you know, was consistent all the playoffs, even put up 40 points one game in the finals. And you know, at one point it looked like him and SGA were fighting over who was going to be finals MVP. But J-Dub is probably, if not top three, number two option in the league, you know, in my opinion. And he deserves it. The stats, everything backs it up. Same goes for Chet, you know. He was injured at some points, but when it mattered most, his presence was felt, you know. He was getting offensive boards and defensive boards. And I think that the Pacers just didn't really know how to contain him in the finals because he put up some pretty good performances in the finals.
yeah.
Your thoughts, Benji?
Yeah, I mean, for J-Dub's calm, cool, and collective self, definitely like during the press conferences, you know, he's a star player, and I think really the way that Oklahoma City has Thunder like this season has taught them is to, I guess, keep your young stars on the team and just see where it goes. Now, they already saw where it went for them last season and it won them a championship. So I think what the Thunder do going forward is, you know, lock down these guys. Like they lock down SGA, they lock down Holmgren, they lock down J-Dub. And now I guess the rest of the recipe for the Oklahoma City Thunder is to just find the best supporting cast, you know, around that big three and around those big three guys. So I'm happy for them. Definitely deserved it. And I believe J-Dub was even playing with an injured hand during the finals too. So props to him for going through that and putting the team on his back. But yeah, for our next topic for the NBA, we can get a little bit into Giannis. He was just on Speed stream a couple of days ago in Greece, and they were talking a little bit. And you know, Speed asks him the question like, "Are you staying in Milwaukee? Are you leaving?" And Giannis goes, "Probably," but he does say that we'll see. So definitely still a lot of speculation up in the air for Giannis. Me personally, I think he'll end up either, if he does leave Milwaukee, I think he'll end up either a Raptor, Miami Heat, or Golden State Warrior. Seeing Giannis play with Steph and Jimmy Butler now, that would be something.
Yeah, I
But
think
what do you think about that, Deuce? Do you think Giannis stays in Milwaukee?
I know Giannis is loyal to his team. You can't even deny that. You know, not Michael, but let's call it Giannis has always been loyal to the Milwaukee Bucks, and coming into this year, you know, they had Damian Lillard and everything didn't go up to par. So yeah, that could lead up to some frustration and feeling some type of way about a player. But ultimately, I think Giannis is one of them players that, you know, he knows how much the fan or he how much he means to a fan base. And I think he
Definitely.
knows his value in Milwaukee. I think if he did go to some other team, it will risk him having to share the ball a little bit more often. Now that if he does stay, hypothetically, if he does stay in Milwaukee, he's not having to share the rock with Damian Lillard no more.
Mm.
He's probably, you know, he can probably go up and average more points, more better stats. And not to mention, he was a top player last year, even with Dame. So just imagine him by himself. He may not have the supporting help, but I think if he stays, you know, he'll still be a better. I think he'll be a better player if he stays
Mm.
versus then going to another team. Because I think going to another team, that's a lot to adjust to. But I think Giannis knows his value in Milwaukee, and he'll stay in Milwaukee. But like you said, he said we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and yeah, time will tell.
Indeed.
But jumping into finishing out our summer, or not our summer, but our NBA segment. Summer League has been going on, and yesterday we got to see Bronny and Cooper Flagg performing. You know, first time for Cooper Flagg, and yes, he didn't put up the best stats, but let's just say this is his first game. And when have, you know, people ever really made somebody, or when have people ever really decided how a person or how a player was going to be after their first game? You know, this is just a summer league. He has more time to develop. So I saw a lot of people, you know, talking about, oh, Cooper Flagg he put up 10 points off like 5 for 20. Give the man some time, you know. And Bronny on the other side, it looks like these other players are seeing him like as the leader of the team on the summer league team at least. So I like that for Bronny, you know, and it shows that his defensive presence has been shown throughout multiple summer league games this year. Bronny's only going to keep developing and only improving, and I like that for Bronny. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this summer league is sort of a kind of like training dojo for these NBA players and also the rising stars and also, you know, the rookies coming into the league. So different basketball, I guess, to sort of what we're used to in the regular season. But just to go over some stat lines from both of these guys, Cooper Flagg went 5 for 21 from the field, 0-5 from 3-point. He had 6 defensive rebounds. He had 10 points compared to Bronny James. Bronny James was 2 of 8 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, and he had finished with 8 points. And Kyrie also went to the game and said afterwards that, you know, Coop, it's his first ever NBA game, so might be a little too hard on himself for his first one, but I just think this you know, this rivalry and this, I guess, spectacle of these two players in particular is going to be very interesting to see this upcoming season. And I think we have potentially a nice rivalry brewing up potentially.
Yeah, and like you said, this is just like rookies, rising stars, you know,
Yeah.
it gives players a chance to develop. I still believe Cooper Flagg is a generational prospect and who will be on the same level as Wemby, you know.
Mhm.
Time will tell, but I got very high hopes for Cooper Flagg, and one game is not going to make me, you know, think any different or think any less of him. Just like how Bronny, you know, last year he didn't put up the best summer league game in his first game, but you know, he went to the G League and improved and was probably one of the best G League players, or if you want to say, he was probably one of the best second round picks in that draft class, if not the best, you know. So it'll just be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
Um, jumping
Definitely
into
interest. Oh, my fault. I was about to say one last thing about the summer league. Um, Summer league be interesting to watch sometimes too because you get players like Mac McClung coming out from
yes,
nowhere and then just, you know, transitioning that into a little bit into the NBA. And now while Mac McClung might not be, you know, a Jason Tatum of the league, you know, players they make their way towards the league this way and they get to show all they're all about. What's good, Michael? What's good, bro?
Good. What's good? What's good, y'all?
Yeah, but with that being said, Michael, have you like really been watching anything about the Pelicans basketball lately? Has any like players stood out to you? Have you seen anything you liked?
Yeah. Two guys that really caught my attention, and it's really no surprise because I knew these guys were gonna be a huge impact. They're still learning as they go along, but I'm gonna say Jeremiah Fears and McQueen. Like those guys, they're so skilled, and I knew Jeremiah Fears, aka Zero Fears. I knew he was going to be a killer first game in G League, man. Like the guy had 13 points, man. Like the guy is just he's gonna get better and better as he goes along, but it's just crazy that, you know, a lot of teams slept on him because the guy has good ball movement, he has good ball skills. The only thing that was kind of like a negative with me was the turnovers that he had. And like I said, it's the first G League, so I mean, you know, you're going to expect that. You know, they'll grow more and more as they go along. But you know, both guys contributed at a high level. I think Derek had, I think he had like 10 points and like 13 rebounds. The guy is an all around, just an all around center. Like he went 1 for 1 for three, and the guy has just great vision on the court. He the assists the passes that he had, is just off the charts. I honestly feel that the future is bright for those two guys. And like I said, they're gonna get better and better as they go along. As long as if they just slow down the turnover ratio just a little bit, because I think both guys had like 7 turnovers in that game, which kind of contributed to the loss to the Timberwolves. So it's just like if they could just slow down their turnover ratio, that's my only negative thing that I saw. But you know, it's just really just going to determine how, you know, the head coach that we have, how he's going to use them, because he even said himself that I need to figure out how I'm going to use these guys. And you know, with Fears, I just think that he is going to help out the Pelicans organization a lot, and those two guys really, in my opinion. But like I said, we still got a long ways to go. But
Mm-hmm.
for these guys to score over 10 points in their first game, that to me that means something. You know, because that's telling me that you're a scorer, that you know how to pass, you know how to, you know, lead a drive, you know what to do. You just need to slow yourself down. I feel like if they find that normal pace of tempo, they will be okay. I guarantee you. But only thing they need to do is just settle down on the turnovers. If they can do that, then I feel like they're gonna have a good summer league, and it's gonna contribute to the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know, I'm gonna say this. You know, uh, I did say like on an earlier podcast. You know, I didn't like I didn't I'm not gonna say I necessarily didn't like the Pelicans draft, but I had my questions about it. But the way that these two players have been playing, or I'm gonna say how they played last game, it can show the future is bright if they stay on the right path, if they stay consistent, you know, and just keep developing. You know, I did say I know I did come out and I said like, hey, I was kind of questioning the Fears pick, mainly just because yeah, he has the mid-range game, but there was like other little nitpick flaws that he had, like his 3-point shot, for instance, wasn't the best.
Right.
Uh, but all that can be fixed, and it's just gonna take time. But it's nice to note that the Pelicans, their whole starting lineup had double digits yesterday. So that's
Right.
good for the young. That's good for a young team. And I'm also going to pivot to this with another young team. We talked about the Jazz and Ace Bailey, but the Jazz have a lot of young stars on that team. They have a lot of young players on that team that could mold into stars. You know, just the other day, Bryce Sensabaugh had 37 points while Ace Bailey had 18. On top of that, they had their second year player, Kyle Filipowski, had 13 rebounds. So yes, I'm gonna say this for the Jazz. They may not be the best team in the West right now, but as I've been watching the summer league and keeping up with that team, This team has a bunch of young players that can develop into good rotational players and stars on that team if they just keep developing them right. But closing out of our NBA segment and jumping into our MLB segment, it's been an interesting week in baseball, and we don't have Adam here to cover it, but Benji's gonna tune in. He's gonna talk some baseball today.
Yes, sir.
Um,
So you want to get into it?
yeah,
All right. So let me ask you this, Deuce. Who is the hottest team in baseball right now? What have you been seeing this past weekend and from all these past series? You also got All-Star weekend coming up for the MLB, I know of. So give your thoughts, your emotions of these
uh,
past few days for the MLB.
I would say definitely the hottest team right now in the league is the Blue Jays. 9-1 in their last 10 games. Swept the Yankees, which was crucial for us to get in the lead of our division. That brought us really from we jumped the Rays and the Yankees just by winning that series 4-0. So, and then we went to play the Angels and we swept them too. We almost swept the White Sox, but they beat us in the third game, but we still won the series. Like I said, Blue Jays are 91 in their last 10. I think they're a top team in baseball right now, a top 5 team at that. I would also have to say another hot team in baseball, although they did just lose to the Guardians, I would say the Astros. Sweeping the Dodgers in LA is not easy. And that the fact that the Dodgers did that with 11 players injured is crazy. And people keep talking about this all like season, like how the Astros are doing this with like a lot of their good players on they're injured, and these players are stepping up and showing like we can play just as good as them. They're hitting well, they're playing well defensively. So yeah, the Blue Jays and the Astros will probably have to be my top hottest teams right now, but I give the Blue Jays the edge. 91 in your last 10. They almost, broke their little record they had, but it just we play the Athletics today later at 9:05. We'll get back. Hopefully, Blue Jays get back on track. This should be an easy series. The Athletics are the last in division, so it's not.
Yeah, the AL East is just dogfight every single year. You mentioned the Yankees getting swept by the Jays, that sort of shifted things in the standings. But with the not the Orioles, the Rays and the Red Sox, kind of creeping up, trying to get that other playoff spot. But now it's the Yankees in second place, so we'll see how that shakes out post All-Star break and post July here, folks. And Deuce, I think the next thing I'll ask you here for MLB is, what is your top 10 teams right now? Has it changed from last week's?
Yes, it did. We did have a few changes, but coming out one, we saw the Tigers. I was kind of debating Tigers or Astros, but Tigers are still the best team in baseball, in my opinion. But the Astros come in right at second. Like I said, they swept the Dodgers. And recently, last episode, I had the Dodgers at 2 or 3. I forgot. But the Astros and the Dodgers kind of been flip-flopping recently. But I have the Astros at 2. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. At number 3, the Cubs, also 6-4 in their last 3 games. The Dodgers, I dropped to 4, mainly because they were swept in like 2 of their others last 2 series. They're 4-6 in the last 10. So, but the Dodgers can always go back up. This is the Red Hot Blue Jays. I got them at 5, 9-1 in their last 10. That is amazing. And the Phillies at 6. They dropped slightly. Phillies and Blue Jays been kind of flip flopping for the last weeks. The Phillies, I will say this: Phillies did beat the Blue Jays last time they played them, but with how the Blue Jays have been red hot lately, I got to give the Blue Jays the edge. So 6 will be the Phillies. 7, the Mets at 5-5. 8, I will give the Brewers. They've been on a kind of a hot streak, but that is also debatable with the Yankees as well. I'm not gonna say the Yankees have been on a hot streak, but 7-8 is kind of debatable for the Yankees. The Yankees got swept by the Jays and lost 2-1 in the Subway Series to the Mets, but they just came back and swept the Mariners, so that is why they have jumped back up. Next week they may be back top 17. Who knows? But closing out the top 10, I have the Brewers, and at 10 the Giants. I'm just gonna say this: the Brewers and the Mets. That's debatable in my opinion. Who can also flip flop? Um, One series they look amazing. The next series they look kind of sluggish. You see that a lot in baseball. So it just be interesting. Like I keep saying, it just be interesting to see how this plays out. But with that being said, uh, what are your thoughts on the wild card race right now, Benji?
I think it's we always see it come down to, I guess, sort of who some of these teams have very hard stretches after the All-Star break. I know a lot of teams in the AL East have some dog fights after the All-Star break. So it's also interesting to see like certain players kind of opting in and opting out of the All-Star game because of that, because that they have such a, gauntlet ahead of them and that their team wants them fully healthy. I saw Crochet do that for the Red Sox, for example. So yeah, I think honestly, I think in terms of the wild card race, I know for the AL side of things that it's gonna be very close between either like I said, the top 4 teams in the AL East, the Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, and Blue Jays. But currently, the Blue Jays stand on top of that division. We'll see how that changes.
Yeah,
But
I think the two teams that will, and no shame to the Red Sox, I think the Red Sox can probably finish as a wild card spot. I got to pull up, but last time I checked with the Mariners losing, they just dropped, and the Red Sox have jumped up into that final wild card spot. And it'll be interesting to see how the Mariners, the Red Sox, the Rays, and the Royals, and you can even throw in the Rangers if they can get over 500, who can get this last, wild card spot. I think right now for locks in the playoffs, you have, your locks are still like the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Yankees. And as much as I still think the Yankees are going to make the playoffs, but that's just my opinion. Yankees, they had their little slump, but it's the Yankees. Everybody knows.
You think the Blue Jays will be able to? Because I've been like, they've popped up on my timeline and they've popped up in my head. But the question I have for you guys is that, do you think the Blue Jays, this year, do you think they can take the whole MLB league and be World Series champions? Because like you said, they are the hottest team right now, and they got a lot of firepower in that whole roster. But like I said, the question really remains is that who will be their toughest competition between now and the playoffs?
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that. You know, there's still teams that the Blue Jays would have to work. And I'm gonna say this: I think that the Tigers, the Astros, and the Cubs and the Dodgers are better than the Blue Jays right now. Yes, the Blue Jays have been red hot, but those are the teams that all around are just perfect in my opinion. Uh, and I was kind of looking at it, the playoff race. The Astros and the Blue Jays right now are fighting for the 2 and 3 spot. So Astros right now have a first round bye. Uh, but it's just gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. The Blue Jays in the MLB, you play all these teams over and over and over again. So one series, this team can beat you. In the next series, you can beat them. But I think the people in their path right now would have to be, in my opinion, the Astros. Let me check real quick. Yeah, I would have to say the Astros and probably got to pull it up real quick. I would say the Astros and the Tigers are the two people in the Blue Jays' way of winning the AL and winning the World Series. These are the two best teams in baseball. The Astros just proved it by whooping on the Dodgers and LA, and the Tigers have just been good all season. So,
yeah.
But Benji, Club World Cup has been going on, and we know you've been working it. In the championship is Sunday, not to mention. But what are your thoughts? What have you gained, just by working at it? What have you seen? Some things that stood out to you?
Man, I can't even like put into many words exactly like what this tournament has done for me at this specific moment, but hopefully I'll write up something soon thanking everybody. But the FIFA Club World Cup, for anybody who doesn't know, is a brand new tournament brought to, the United States for FIFA. So think of it as kind of the World Cup, but for just clubs itself. And I've been volunteering for the media operations crew for FIFA thus far. I've gone to every game that's been in the tournament, and it's been just amazing to see everybody at work and the behind the scenes of what really goes on at these sporting events and these huge spectacles and arenas also, because it's not just MetLife, it's in different cities across the US. So it's been really amazing to see all the different crowds coming out to different games. We had Real Madrid that actually just got eliminated, sadly, but they had a huge fan presence. And also shout out to all the Brazilian teams that I saw too. They were actually undefeated in the tournament up until a certain point for a while, and it was really surprising to people because they were the kind of smaller market teams going up against the Man Cities of the world, the PSGs, etc. But not only were they holding up a fight, but they were undefeated. But yeah, the final is Sunday. I'm so sad that it's coming to an end, but hopefully you guys could see me talk about it more on my catching up stream that I'm planning, talking about the World Club Cup and also Fanatics Fest coming soon. So stay tuned for that, guys.
Yeah, so closing out this podcast, it was kind of a short one. Wasn't that long. But as the weeks go on and August and September start to roll around, football will be back up in the air. College sports will be back. Inside the Locker Room will most likely be covering college football as well. So stay tuned to that. As always, stay safe. Stay tuned. Subscribe to our YouTube, share the YouTube, comment, like, and on the Instagram, share from all of our accounts and subscribe to Inside the Locker Room. We're on our way to 1K. We're halfway there. So just keep up that. As always, thank y'all for tuning in and more love from Inside the Locker Room. Y'all have a good day, everyone.